Hello everyone, welcome to Canteen Cup. My name is Scott, and looking up at the sky, I think we're going to get some rain. Suppose it's due tonight, later on this afternoon. They're talking about heavy rains and thunderstorms and maybe even some flash flooding. Luckily for me, I'm on a hilltop, so the only place it goes from here is downhill. So we've got a good piece of property for that we don't get a lot of flooding. It just drains off, and so we're fortunate there. Of course, when I first looked at this property, I wanted to take advantage of that. When I saw that we were on a little hilltop and that the water drains away, it was a benefit for us. So we've got a lot of rain coming, and of course that slows me down a little bit. This ground is still quite soft from the last bunch of rain we had, and I'm trying to be careful and preserve the topsoil. I put some grass seed down, some winter rye, in hopes that we'll get some grass growing to help kind of keep what topsoil I have here. I don't see any sprouting yet, but maybe next week or so it should maybe start to come up. Then in March, when the ground temperature gets a little warmer, I'll plant a fescule grass and let that grow, and then that'll be the basis for what we're going to do. We still have a lot of trees on the property. I told my wife I'd give her a week or so to see if we can either sell the wood or get somebody to cart it off. It's a lot easier than me trying to cut it up and burn it. It's all pine, so we can't burn it in our fireplace. I do have some hardwood trees that we'll keep for firewood, but most of it's pine, and so it's got to go. So it looks like for the next week or so, maybe longer, if I keep getting rain like this, it just makes it kind of hard to work on the property, because you don't want to tear the ground up too much. I have to come back through and rake it some more, get some more of this clutter up, more of these roots and branches and such, and get it ready for what we're going to do. We're going to add a garden and maybe some trees, but really right now we want to build the soil up, and how you do that is you plant the grass and then mulch it and let it grow, cut it, and just let it kind of sit, and it starts to create a humus or a soft organic layer, and that will help maintain moisture and help maintain soil temperature. So it takes a little while. It's just part of the process, and I've said it before that when you move on to a vacant piece of property, vacant land, there's a lot of work to it, and you're not going to necessarily be productive the first year you're there, but you have to think about that as part of your planning process. Lots of planning, lots of work, but it's all good. So in the meantime, I wanted to talk about a couple things. We have the coronavirus going on, and I don't want to talk too much about that because so far it's a no-show, and it may stay that way. A concern I have, though, is in California you have a huge homeless population, one of the highest in the country. I'm not sure which one's the highest, either there or New York. But when you have a lot of homeless people, and I have nothing against homeless people, but homeless people tend not to take care of themselves as well, mainly because they don't have the money or time or whatever it is to go get good medical care, and or they just decide they don't want to do that. And you have people like this living on the streets, again, maybe not in the best hygienic situations. They're not keeping themselves as clean. Sometimes they're kind of compacted into close areas, so they're in very close contact with one another. And my fear is that if this virus gets into one of those communities where there are homeless people, a lot of people can get very sick very fast. And I think that is a fear that um, I say it concerns me, because we don't want the disease to spread any further than it has. But if you get into those communities, probably a lot of people are going to die. And, a lot of them aren't in the best of health to begin with. They have compromised, immune systems. They're not eating right, they're not exercising right, they're not getting good health care. And so they're primed for getting the flu and dying from it. And when you have that many people in a small area contacting those diseases, well, those people come in contact with people a little higher up the food chain, so to speak, and then those people travel to different parts of the country, and that's how it can spread. So hopefully, they'll keep that contained. When you look at Los Angeles with LAX Airport and Ontario Airport, the Port of Los Angeles, San Francisco has similar things, that maybe not as bad as Los Angeles, but it's ripe for the picking, so to speak. Now, I live out in the country and I don't talk to a whole lot of people to begin with, so for us out here, again, maybe not that big a deal. I don't see it. I see people living in cities as having some of the issues. But while I have some of this winter downtime, like I said, if we can't get these trees gone in another week or so, then I'm going to have to come back out here and pull them off if you look behind me, pull them off the stacks one by one, chop them up, and then burn them. I can do it, but it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, whereas if I could just get somebody to come in, cart them off, they can do it in half a day. It might take me several weeks to several months to get all this taken care of. There's a lot of trees here. So, but anyhow, in my downtime, between rainstorms, winter rain events, I mean, here we are, beginning of February, I'm out here in shirt sleeves. It's amazing. I do miss 4 seasons. But, part of homesteading, part of life in general is always doing something. I try to say that I always do something with homesteading every day, even if it's just 15 minutes worth. I'm always trying to do something, and I always try to cover somewhere in my little 4 things. Do you have enough food? Do you have enough water? Can you maintain sanitary conditions? And can you defend your family? I always try to work on one of those. I think if anybody can get those squared away in their camp, then they're in pretty good shape. So what I've been thinking about the past couple days, and other channels have talked about it, and I've kind of stayed away from it a little bit because there's so much stuff out there. But I think maybe I need to address it a little bit on my channel, and that is defending your family. And I think it's important that when you talk about defending your family, that you kind of say that in the same breath as defending your community. It's not just necessarily grabbing a shotgun and going out in your front yard, busting some caps at people in your yard. But it may be your neighbor. Your neighbor may need your help. He may call you up in the middle of the night, or you may hear gunshots over at his property, depending on how far away you live, and you may need to assist your neighbor who is a part of your community, like it or not. So there's been a lot of talk on some of the channels. I watch Revolting Man. I watch Viking Preparedness. Those are some of my more favorite ones. Sister Kate, Shofar Mountain, love her. And but when it comes to defending your family, you have to also say defend your community. Pastor Joe Fox of Viking Preparedness says you can't defend your home from your mailbox, and he's right. If they're at your mailbox, it's too late. It's time to run. But getting back to what I said before, is being able to defend your community, to help your neighbors, that you should be prepared to leave the house and help your neighbors. What does that mean? I think we go back to the Minuteman concept. You know, there's lots of good stuff out there about that, but basically what it boils down to is you have at the ready enough supplies to go render assistance to your neighborhood from the aspect of defending your property or assisting your neighbor in defending theirs. So what does that mean? Well, if you're defending, hopefully you'll have a weapon with you, even if it's a baseball bat. But you may also need some other things. If you have a weapon, a firearm, that you may need some extra ammunition. Remember, if you are shooting at people, more than likely somebody's shooting back at you. So you may want to have some means to plug those holes they may make in your body. So a first aid kit, a tourniquet of sorts, however you work for that. And excuse me for looking down, but I'm just trying to see what type of animals have been on my property lately, and it doesn't seem like a whole lot. I don't see anything. It's interesting. But so you've got to be able to plug holes. You may want to have a little bit of water with you. Maybe a couple granola bars or something. Maybe a way to start a fire. Maybe a way to signal. You know, however you work that out. And like I said, you've got to have that bag at the ready, because when the call for help comes, they don't mean in the morning. They don't mean after you've had a shower and a bath and breakfast. They mean now. You know, have a plan on what clothes you're going to put on, what shoes you're going to put on. What's the weather outside? Do you need a jacket? Do you need a rain jacket? What do you need? Get that stuff and go. And but it's important. You know, we talk about, you know, having a mag, having a group, having, you know, a crew or whatever. Well, start with your neighbors. You know, if things get really, really bad, your neighbors may be all you have. Your mag or your crew may be 15, 20 miles away. You have your neighbors, so start working with them now. Get a plan. And we've been on this property now almost 5 months, and already we are networking with quite a few of our neighbors. And so it's a slow process. You know, you don't want to you know, lay all your cards on the table at once. And of course they're the same way, but we're doing that dance, and we're getting to know each other a little bit better, and we help each other a little bit now. So, but be prepared. And I think what I'm going to do as I get downtime between now and spring, because this is our rainy season, I'll talk a little bit more about the Minuteman concept and maybe what it means today, because I have evolving thoughts on it. And there's other people out there. Like I said, Revolting Man is a big Minuteman concept person, and he talks about it There are some people out there that even make little Minuteman, ready bags, or bailout, bug out bags, or bailout bags, or active shooter bags, anything like that. And we'll talk about that, and maybe what you need to bring to the table. So I'm gonna head back in. Like I said, it's looking mighty ugly up there, but I never turned down rain after living in several droughts. I don't turn down rain that much. So I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you are planning. I hope you are thinking about what you want to do, and I hope you're not just dreaming. I hope you put some action behind your thoughts. It's like I said, every day I try to make an effort to do something for my 4 topics of preparedness. Sometimes it is just internet surfing, just trying to get information, but then I try to turn those into actionable items, and so I try to do something. So that's all I got for today. I hope everybody is well. Stay safe and stay secure.